All enjoyed the previous sessions as well on various topics, a lot about circularity as well. And this is the last topic in terms of circular economy for today. So we're talking about the EPR and how we're driving circular economy and waste management here in Vietnam. I'm very happy to have all those very experienced panelists here with me today. And with this, we are trying to shed some light more on the topic of EPR, recycling, waste management, decarbonization as well. Plus, we're also having UNDP here with us to share their view and also recommendations to the government as well. So without further ado, I would start with introducing our distinguished guest. I will start actually with Professor Tu. She is the Director of Science and Technology Department of Vietnam National University of Hanoi. And I would ask you for applause, please. Thank you. Then I have Ms. Morgana Riviol. She is a Climate Change and Circular Economy Officer at UNDP. Here with us also we have Mr. Hoang Duc Vong. He's President, Recycled Plastics Branch and VPA. I also have Ms. Letty Mi from Heineken. She's actually responsible of the topic sustainability. And last but not least, I have Mr. Tam Nguyen. He is a Director, ELO Operations at Government Affairs at Adidas. So the idea today is that we try also to bring a little bit about the industry into the topic of recyclability. Of course, talking about the policy, the framework, but also trying to understand from the industry where actually do we stand on this particular topic. So without further ado, I would like to set the stage and ask Mr. Vong, with his expertise, how do you see in general the current stage of development of Vietnam's plastic recycling value chain? Where do you think Vietnam currently is, and what do you think should be the next phase coming?
Trước hết thì giáo sư tôi xin cảm ơn Eurocharm đã mời chúng tôi tham dự cái cuộc hội thảo hết sức ý nghĩa này. Và để trả lời câu hỏi của bạn thì đây là câu hỏi tổng thể rất là hay. Thì chúng tôi cũng xin được nói là tái chế ở Việt Nam đã phát triển trong 40 năm. Nhưng mà chủ yếu thì nó nằm ở hàng nghìn làng nghề khác nhau. Và nó nằm ở khu vực tư nhân là chủ yếu. Và nó nằm ở ngay chính các hộ gia đình. Tái chế không chỉ có nhựa mà có rất nhiều các cái mặt hàng sau tiêu dùng khác, từ pin đến ắc quy, đến rác thải điện tử, đến dầu nhớt, đến xăm lốp ô tô. Đây là một cái lượng tiêu dùng rất là lớn và đưa ra môi trường. Nhưng cái ngành công nghiệp tái chế của Việt Nam thì 40 năm rồi nhưng nó không phát triển được. Mà chúng tôi thường gọi nó là vẫn là baby. Và cái ngành tái chế này nó chưa được một cái sự hỗ trợ và sự quan tâm đầy đủ của toàn xã hội. Cho nên là nó gây ra cái ô nhiễm thứ cấp đối với môi trường là rất là lớn. Và đến thời điểm này thì phải nói là chính phủ cũng như là tất cả các bên toàn xã hội cũng đã nhìn nhận khác về cái việc thu gom và tái chế những cái rác thải sau tiêu dùng, và đã có những chính sách rất là đổi mới. Ví dụ như chính sách EPR mà hôm nay chúng ta đang bàn đến. Và chúng tôi thấy rằng đối với chính sách EPR này, mở rộng trách nhiệm nhà sản xuất, nó sẽ khởi đầu để phát triển cho ngành công nghiệp tái chế của Việt Nam. Và chúng tôi đang hy vọng rất nhiều những cái chính sách đổi mới cùng với sự hỗ trợ quốc tế, với sự quan tâm của các cái tổ chức hỗ trợ cho Việt Nam và sự quyết tâm của chính phủ, thì chúng tôi tin rằng đây là điểm khởi đầu và ngành công nghiệp tái chế Việt Nam sẽ phát triển rất nhanh trong thập kỷ tới. Xin cảm ơn bạn.
Sorry. Okay. No, much better. First of all, thank you for answering in so many details as well. And thank you also for setting the stage on the topic of EPR. So as such, my next question goes to Professor Tu from University of Hanoi. I know that you have done multiple studies as well. So I would like to ask you from your experience, what do you think is necessary looking into the implementation of EPR in some other countries to happen to make sure that this is a workable policy here in Vietnam? Could you please elaborate on this one?
Yes, thank you very much for your interesting question. First, I would like to thanks for the Eurocharm to invite me to join in very interesting and fruitful panelist discussion today. On behalf of VNU Hanoi, I would like to share with you that we are conducting a research, a national research project conducting in evaluating the readiness of enterprise in Vietnam to transition to the circular economic model. So, in terms of EPR, under international standard, somehow we can say that for the large enterprise in Vietnam, especially for the listed company, we apply the EPR correctly. However, for the SME in Vietnam, it's a big gap between the EPR under international standard and for the current situation in Vietnam. However, more than 95% of enterprise in Vietnam are SME and micro SME. So it's the difficulties. We can say that it's the challenges for the SME in Vietnam to apply the EPR. And especially when we apply the EPR in the circular economy model, it's much more difficult. So, frankly speaking, we think that we need a lot of work to do, both from the government policy, from the researcher, from the enterprise practice, so that we can apply the EPR principle in Vietnam, especially for the SME. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And now moving a little bit into the industry, and as such, I would like to ask Ms. Mi. I know that Heineken has, of course, the global targets of circular economy, of CO2 reduction, as I would say almost all multinational companies. But in particular, it will be interesting to share from your point of view what are the current activities that Heineken is pushing in Vietnam when it comes to the topic of circularity. What are the challenges, and what will be, I would say, a recommendation to the government from your point of view when it comes to the EPR and the implementation here?
Yeah, thank you for your questions. Actually, personally, I very much interested and passionate in circularity. And working for Heineken Vietnam, I'm so proud that Heineken Vietnam already started our journey for circularity long time ago. So when our establishment, starting from something very simple, very small one that can do, for example, we just optimizing our productivity. It means that increased efficiency, reducing water, reducing energy. I think that's very, very small step, and everybody can do that, even though for SME, that Mr. just mentioned about. So, because circularity is something is very, very practical in our business and also in all individual. So I'd like to share that that Heineken Vietnam started from our establishment from very small step like that one, from wastewater treatment. Yeah, even though at that time, to be honest, about 30 years ago, to be honest, that the regulation is still not that there to require for the wastewater treatment plant in the factory. Yeah, by simple action also like keep our material or keep our equipment can stay and can work for longer time by good maintenance, by repairing, and all that kind of thing is about circularity. Yeah. Now Heineken Vietnam already, I could say that quite advanced in circularity because we already apply the model developed by Allen Marketer Foundation, and that model is about resolve. Yeah, and we already achieved zero waste to landfill since 2021 for all 6 our brewery in Vietnam. And I can say very simple things for the resolve model. Is about regeneration, so that's why we collect the biomass from our wastewater treatment plant and use for the thermal energy. very simple. Yeah. The second thing about the share and look. So we share and look at a lot in our packaging. All our packaging material, all our packaging, 100% of packaging is recyclable. And over 97% of our plastic grade, yeah, is designed to reuse up to 5 or up to 10 years. Or more than 98% of our glass bottle collect back and reuse up to 30 times. Yeah, so we can, and at the end of their lifetime, all can be recycled. Our aluminum can is made up 40% of recycled aluminum material. And our paper carton make up 100% recycled paper. So all the kind about share and look. The third one is about optimizing. In the result model is optimizing. Optimizing is optimizing all the material that we have, or equipment that we can use. And we can optimizing in logistics. For example, optimizing in network, how we can use the best network to distribution our beer to the market. Yeah, optimizing even relay our warehouse so we can use the space better. That's about optimizing. Virtualizing is about virtualizing. I think that after COVID pandemic, many companies already apply for virtualizing. And for us as well, on a conference, on a town hall, the meeting, we maximize the virtualizing. And that also reduce the CO2 emission by traveling for sure. Yeah. And last but not least is about exchange. Exchange is new technology, new things that can have more efficiency, can work for longer time, and can reduce less energy or reduce CO2 emission. So that's why in our fridge that we cool our beer in the outlet, we use the green fridge. For example, at our warehouse, we can use the electric forklift. So all that about exchange. I think that you can see more here. I can say a lot of story there. But one thing, sorry. I think one thing is that sometimes we see circularity is something very hard to do. But circularity actually is also about innovation, about how we design our product, our things from the very beginning, that you can use less material or can use longer time. One thing that I very love about innovation in our packaging is about the paper carton. We are the first one to use the T-flute design in our paper carton. What is the T-flute design? It's about the inner layer, the middle layer. We use the T-flute design, so that's what can keep our carton still very strong to deliver the canned beer to our consumer. But you can use less material for this one. And also for the aluminum can, we maximum optimizing from designing about the thickness of the can and the lid. So that's why you can reduce the material that we use. On that one is about innovation, about how we can think from the very beginning of our process, so then we can apply the circularity. For more detail, I encourage you guys, if you are interested in this one, please go to Heineken website, and you can see a lot practice, initiative there. Thank you.
Thank you so much for sharing the practice at Heineken. However, if you had a wish or a single recommendation to make to the government on what can we do to improve, what would be the wish or the recommendation from your point of view then? It could be only with one word as well. You don't need to then go in.
Yeah, talking about the challenge of circularity, recently we see a lot movement to work the circularity from all perspective and also from all stakeholders, I could say. From government side, we see more and more regulation relating to circularity, like the Environmental Protection Law 2020, like a decision 687 relating to circularity. Yeah, so we see more from the government side. From the financial side, I think we can see a lot of green finance, green fund for the financial factor. From the business, we see more commitment, more ambition, and more action as well. Yeah, from the business to work the circularity. Yeah. From consumer even, especially for the young consumer, you see they have a trend and movement to the green light, to the circularity. So you see the good, very good progress, a very good movement toward the circularity. Yes, but still challenge. Yeah, awareness. We all know that circularity topic, sustainability topic, even net zero topic is still very new, not only for Vietnam, but for the whole world. And that's still the how to say, the learning journey for all of us. Yeah, so that's why somehow, like Ms. Tu already shared, the awareness still that, to be honest, relatively low, especially in the SME. Yeah, they think security is something that only the big guy can do, but like I share, it's not that one. Yeah. The second thing is about the capability. I would say that even for in Vietnam, we face with fighting the people, the expertise working in that field. Yeah, because more people for circularity, that's when you can apply more things. That's one. And the last thing, I see still the gap for action. The gap for action is what? We know about circularity, but somehow the habit, the way we are working, and also the convenience. So that's why we cannot move forward to circularity. That's the first thing. The second thing is about the marketplace and availability. For example, Mr. Vương already mentioned, in Vietnam, it's about formal, informal recycling industry. And even 40 years already, we still say we are a baby. So I think from that one, the government can have the policy and also can have something to support, to build up the marketplace for the circularity. And the third one, I think the framework, for sure. Yeah, EPR, something like that, and more action for this one. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Okay,
Thank you. And again, also similar direction. Also, I would like to hear from UNDP. From your point of view, I know that you have done a lot of work in the topic of EPR, a lot of studies, a lot of recommendations. So we're very interested to actually learn from UNDP point of view, how do you see the current stage of EPR, the implementation, and then looking forward in the future, what will be the recommendation that you will be giving?
Thank you very much. Yes, good morning, and thank you for inviting UNDP to this conference. So indeed, UNDP has been working with the government of Vietnam and especially with the Ministry of Environment and with MOIT on the formulation of a circular economy framework, from the law on environmental protection, the Decree 8, and now the National Action Plan on Circular Economy, which actually will be launched in 2 weeks on the 16th of November in the same place, National Forum on Circular Economy, and I hope many of you will be able to attend. We set up the Circular Economy, Vietnam Circular Economy Forum, Circular Economy Hub, which was mentioned as like a private-public partnership. It's a website, it's a platform, and I really encourage you to take a look. So the Vietnam Circular Economy Hub, Vietnamese and English, and we really set this up to help businesses, but also academia, government at the national and provincial level to understand the circular economy framework, which is evolving really fast, and it's actually quite complex. And same with the EPR. So in terms of recommendation, maybe just, I mean, there is a lot, but maybe 3 main points. The first one is we really encourage the establishment of material recovery facility. We hear from the private sector, Heineken, Adidas, but also SMEs, that even if they want to access recyclable material, they often struggle to find the necessary supply. This means that they are importing, in Vietnam we're still importing a lot of scrap. So with the establishment of material recovery facility in many different provinces in Vietnam, that will allow for the connection, the collection, segregation, cleaning of waste, which then can be purchased by the private sector. So we're setting up one pilot project in Quy Nhon, in the province of Binh Dinh, and we know that other partners are also setting up this material recovery facility. So this is one really important point. The second one is on the inclusion of the informal sector that was mentioned by Mr. Vuong from VietCycle, of course. In particular, the Vietnam Environmental Protection Fund, which is the fund that will be set up and that will be disbursing the resources, financial resources that will come from the private sector when the EPR starts on the 1st of January 2024. So currently the informal sector has no mean to access these financial resources. So we're really working and trying to understand, because it depends in Ho Chi Minh City or in Hanoi, the informal sector has a very different categorization, takes a very different shape, is accepted really differently from the provincial government. So we're really trying to think how we can ensure that the informal sector will benefit from this financial fund. Is it through the PPC? Is it through the Women's Union? Is it through local NGOs? So this is really an important aspect. And the third one, which we are really trying to advocate for, is for the government to regulate the rate of use of recycled material and progressively to set up a mandatory target when it comes to the use of recycled material in product, because we strongly believe that this will have a pull effect and this will really help to increase the collection rate. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And the next question goes back to Mr. Vung. We talked a lot about the EPR, the regulations, of course the legislation sets all the framework, the compliance there as well. But somehow sometimes we do miss that when we talk about circularity, in fact there's a lot of opportunities there, right? So creating new jobs, creating more value or high value jobs as well for Vietnam. So from your point of view, what do you think are actually the opportunities for Vietnam embracing the topic of circularity?
Cảm ơn.
I think they're running out of battery of the
Dạ, xin alo. Dạ, xin cảm ơn câu hỏi của bạn. Đây là câu hỏi rất là rộng lớn, là cái cơ hội nếu như chúng ta vận hành cái nền kinh tế tuần hoàn ở tại Việt Nam, thì chúng tôi thấy rằng cho tôi nói thêm một chút là trong cái thời gian qua thì chúng tôi cũng đã tham gia, trong 5 năm qua chúng tôi đã tham gia vào cái việc là kiến nghị cũng như là xây dựng cái luật bảo vệ môi trường, cũng như là nghị định số 08 và nghị định số 09. Và cá nhân tôi thì cũng đã là người kiến nghị 8 chính sách cốt lõi để xây dựng nền kinh tế tuần hoàn rác thải tại Việt Nam. Và 8 chính sách này cũng đã được chính phủ tiếp thu 4 chính sách, trong đó có chính sách EPR và chính sách phân loại rác tại nguồn, cũng như là xây dựng sàn giao dịch carbon. Thì ở đây chúng tôi muốn nói là điều hết sức quan trọng đó là chính sách, chứ không phải là tài chính, chứ không phải là công nghệ. Nếu có chính sách tốt thì ngành công nghiệp tái chế của Việt Nam có thể tự tìm được tài chính, tự tìm được công nghệ để phát triển. Cho nên ở đây, và khi mà có chính sách tốt, chính sách phải đủ thông minh để cho nền kinh tế tuần hoàn nó tự chạy. Chúng tôi ví dụ, một vòng tròn kinh tế tuần hoàn nếu để nó đứng yên, nó không chạy. Nhưng nếu có chính sách EPR là nó sẽ là động lực đẩy. Và nếu có chính sách phát triển cho thị trường tái chế sẽ là động lực kéo. Động lực đẩy này và động lực kéo phát triển chính sách thị trường cho tái chế có nghĩa là gì? Có nghĩa là chúng ta phải quy định tỷ lệ, ví dụ tỷ lệ hạt nhựa tái sinh 15-20% trong sản phẩm nhựa thì tự dưng tạo ra thị trường. Và nếu có chính sách EPR thì tự dưng tạo ra động lực để thu gom và tái chế. Nhưng để vòng tròn này chạy một cách êm thấm thì chúng ta cần phải có thiết kế sinh thái, thiết kế định hướng cho tái chế. Và chúng ta phải có các quy định về tiêu chuẩn an toàn vệ sinh đối với sản phẩm tái chế. Và chúng ta phải có việc phát triển tiêu dùng bền vững đối với người tiêu dùng, để cho người tiêu dùng đó cảm nhận được và tin cậy được trong sản phẩm tái chế. Và nếu chúng ta làm được như vậy thì nó tạo ra một cơ hội rất lớn về môi trường cho Việt Nam. Nếu chúng ta tuần hoàn được thì có nghĩa là chúng ta đã tái chế, thu gom tái chế một cách đảm bảo về môi trường, và các dòng sông và các cái nguồn nước của Việt Nam không còn ô nhiễm nữa. Như vậy thì sức khỏe của người Việt Nam sẽ khác và sẽ không phải nhập hàng tỷ đô la tiền thuốc như hiện nay nữa. Đấy là một cơ hội rất lớn về sức khỏe và môi trường. Và cơ hội thứ hai là chúng ta giảm thải việc khai thác tài nguyên. Việc giảm thải khai thác tài nguyên cũng có nghĩa là đất nước chúng ta sẽ không phải dùng nhiều đô la để đi nhập khẩu. Chúng tôi ví dụ nhập khẩu hạt nhựa nguyên sinh, ví dụ nhập khẩu hóa chất, ví dụ nhập khẩu mực in. Tất cả những cái đó chúng ta đang lãng phí rất lớn. Và cái nguồn lực lãng phí này nó sẽ làm chúng ta yếu đi cả về môi trường, cả về kinh tế. Thì ở đây nó tạo ra hai cơ hội rất lớn là kinh tế và môi trường. Và điều thứ ba, cơ hội rất lớn nữa khi Việt Nam bắt đầu xây dựng kinh tế tuần hoàn và chúng ta bắt đầu thực hành chính sách EPR. Thì cả khu vực Đông Nam Á, Việt Nam là nước đầu tiên xây dựng chính sách EPR. Như vậy khu vực Đông Nam Á đã nhìn vào nước Việt Nam với con mắt khác. Và trên con mắt bạn bè quốc tế, chúng ta, người Việt chúng ta đã được nhìn được một sự đánh giá khác, được một sự tôn trọng khác. Đó là điều rất lớn đối với một quốc gia. Thì tôi xin tổng kết lại 3 cái cơ hội lớn như vậy. Xin cảm ơn các quý vị.
Okay, thank you so much. And I see that also Professor Tu would like to add a bit on this one as well. So please.
Yeah, thank you. I would like to add some more information from Mr. Hoàng Đức Phương sharing. From our research to invest nearly 300 Vietnamese enterprise about the readiness to move to the CBM, circular business model. And I do agree with you that the finance aspect is not the most important. So from our survey, the most important, the most difficulty is that the awareness of the enterprise, especially with the leaders of the manager of Vietnamese enterprise. Because in the short term, it is difficult that they found that high risk when they invest in the CBM model, when they transition from the linear business model to CBM model. But in the long term, besides the benefit to the environment and societal issue, in the long term, the risk of return is lower than the linear business model. So the key point is that how we educate the manager and leaders of Vietnamese enterprise about the benefit of the EPR and about the CBM. So and besides, I do agree with you that not from the production side, we also educate from the consumption side. It's the behavior of green consumption. And at Vietnam National University Hanoi, we are launching a strategy to change the consumption of all the students within VNU Hanoi move to the green consumption. And we apply we train, we educate for the student to categorize the waste in the campus, and then we can collect this waste and to put into the recycle, and it will help that the student not only educate in the course in the class, but they can apply in their consumption behavior. So thank you.
Thank you so much for the elaboration there. Moving to Adidas, also another multinational company, and I would like to take us a little bit one step above the topic of decarbonization. We know that Adidas is also putting a lot of efforts in the topic of decarbonization, which includes also circular economy. So could you please share with us all the activities, initiatives that you are pushing, and then again, what type of challenges you also see when it comes to implementing those here in Vietnam? Thank you.
Thank Evelyn. It's working now. Thank you. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for having me here today to share what Adidas doing in terms of supporting or addressing the attended producer responsibility. Adidas is one of the change leader in the sustainability effort for the last more than 20 years. We are one of the founders of those changing games initiative like Better Cotton, like Leather Working Group, like Fair Labor Association, and we are the first company that have the sustainability report in the world. We publish that out, and actually our purpose is through sport we have power to change lives. So the way that we look at the climate change is not like climate change matter, but that also social economy matter that impacted millions of lives on Earth. So it's very much aligned with our company purpose, and we actually doing a lot of things surrounding that sustainable economy, and from the attended producer responsibility perspective, actually we focusing on decarbonization in our scope 1, scope 2, meaning that in our own operation. But we also doing that very a lot from our total supply chains in terms of carbon emissions. So for our own operation, we focus on the three main things that we are doing and kind of every single day. That the first one that we put the energy and the consumption in control. So we build up the system that can giving us the data of our energy and energy consumption, so that we write a strategic decision where we can optimize our consumption, so that we reduce the carbon emission in our operation, and based on that we optimize the usage of it. And the last one that we transition to our renewable energy. So where we can, we build that like rooftop solar, we using that renewable energy. For the supply chains, it's kind of, more than 80% of our carbon emission came from that supply chains. And then we actually focusing on 4 main things. The first one that we work with our supply partners where possible to developing the rooftop solar, so that we can use that renewable energy. And then we also working on and advocate out in terms of the direct power agreement, that we be able to access and buy the green energy from the green energy developers. And we also working on coal phase out in our manufacturing process. So we targeted to have that zero coal in our operation by 2025. And last but not least, I think that's the innovation in our manufacturing process. In our materials, is very important for us to get there in terms of decarbonization in our productions. And I think that a part of it, you're asking about the challenges that we are facing. So I just attended previous panelist discussion, and one of the things that the GD of Deep Sea, Mr. Bruno mentioned, and I really align with him on that challenges that we are facing. So actually now everybody go after that renewable energy. So there's a lot of growing demand for that renewable energy, and actually a lot of pressure to all of investors, governments, everybody. And if you look around this morning, hundreds of us attending this type of forum, talking, focusing on that renewable energy. So we have a common interest in that having the renewable energy. And the challenges that we are facing now, that we don't have yet the access to that renewable energy. So the direct power agreement that we talk about it back there in June 2019, until now is still on paper, right? So that I think the biggest challenges for investors, for manufacturers, for brands like Adidas, that we need to have that access to the renewable energy, so that that helping us in terms of decarbonize our manufacturing ecosystem. Thank you.
Thank you so much for sharing this, and this also shows once again how interlinked the whole topic is and interconnected is. Perhaps one last question to Ms. Morgan before we actually give the chance to the audience to raise your questions as well. So when you look into the market of recycled products and materials under the EPR, what do you think are the potential mechanisms to stimulate this market, and what can we do there?
Thank you for the question. Just to follow up on what colleagues have said, and I really agree. I mean, when we talk about circular economy at UNDP, we don't see circular economy as the final outcome. We see really circular economy as a mean to an end. So, as mentioned, like reducing pollution, for example, in the natural environment, but also reducing emissions. So when we talk about circular economy, we think about emission, as you mentioned. As you know, Vietnam will be submitted the next round of the NDC, Nationally Determined Contribution, in 2025. So when we think about circularity, we think about circular economy in the waste management, industrial process, agriculture, what can circular practices bring in order to reduce GHG emission. So within that, EPR is one tool. And within that, I wanted to mention when we talk about the market for recyclable product, as you know, currently in terms of waste management in Vietnam, the favorite option is still incineration. We're also in a high growth, high consumption country, so it means more and more product. So what should we do? It's really stimulating the market for recycled material. And with that, UNDP, with funding from GIZ and in partnership with GIZ, just launched a pilot initiative to set up an online marketplace to trade secondary material. Because as mentioned by colleagues, currently the trade of secondary material in Vietnam is really not transparent. The prices are not transparent. It's very much fluctuating, and most of the suppliers are anyway importing scrap from abroad. I mean, Vietnam is the third largest importer of plastic scrap in the world. So with the support from GIZ, UNDP is setting up this pilot initiative. The idea is to find a private sector partner who will work with us to set up a functioning, transparent and scalable marketplace to exchange secondary material, which hopefully will serve the interest of companies like Adidas or Heineken. We're looking for recycled product, recycled plastic, for instance, who are traceable. Because there is also this question of responsible sourcing framework, right? You want to make sure as a multinational company, that's what we heard from our partner, that the recyclable plastic that you're buying come from responsible sources. It's not done recycled in craft villages around Hanoi by, children in very bad condition. So this is what we're looking at. We're also looking at eco-design, which is really critical as we discuss the EPR and as we discuss the implementation of circular economy framework, and eco-labels. So another two important, I would say, policy incentive to look for. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Also, thank you to the panelists for all your input. And I think now is the time to give the word to the audience. So please feel free to ask any questions to the panelists. I hope to see many hands rise up. So.
Hi everyone, my name is Diệu. I'm from Keep Vietnam Clean, and we focus on waste management and climate change. So I have two questions. First of all, for Miss Mi. So because EPR become valid soon, so I'm wondering if Heineken has a plan to, collect and apply products, and if so, do you have any challenges? And secondly, I think from macro and from UNDP, I'm very impressed with your UNDP efforts for the marketplace. So I wonder if there is potential market for recycled products domestically in Vietnam. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for your questions. Yeah, like I shared before, for the packaging we have 4 packagings. Luckily, we don't have to deal with plastic, because we don't have plastic packaging. So we have glass bottle, we have plastic plastic crate, and that's one, as I said before, we already have reuse it for many times and many years. So that's why we already there apply for the EPR, for the requirement. So we have to do 2 other things, is the aluminum can and paper carton. Say about challenge, yes, because like you said, the EPR will apply by 1st January of 2024, and now somehow only 2 more months to go. But we still see the draft revision of Decree 8. We just see that about last week. And the FS approval still not yet there. So only less than 2 months. It's very hard for all corporate to prepare a good plan for this one. So number 1 about the timing. The second one, I would like to say about the marketplace and also availability and infrastructure. For example, for Heineken Vietnam, we really like to have we have a dream long ago about can-to-can projects. It means that we like to have, we all know that aluminum can is something very easy to recycle and keep recycle many times. Yeah. But for that one, even though we don't have here in Vietnam, the recycle industry to produce the recycled material into the, how to say, the rolling aluminum sheet to produce can. We only recycle into the aluminum ingot, and then we export to China and Thailand, and then we import again the rolling aluminum sheet to produce the can in Vietnam. So I see there's still the industry, the recycling market we have to build in Vietnam, and that could by the policy to incentivize and to build like and we already share before, I think. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, maybe just to add on a little bit, thank you for your question. I agree with colleagues. I mean, the recycling market exists in Vietnam. It is just not functioning properly, doesn't obey any form of environmental standards, decent work, etc. So this is the role of the EPR. It's really to have this pull effect, because the recycling market is extremely sensitive to market forces. So if you increase the price of recyclable product, automatically the collection will increase, and will that also the quality will increase. Same with the notion of eco-design and eco-label, because that will also increase the prices. I think there is maybe something that we haven't mentioned, which is critical. It's the topic of waste segregation at source. There will be no functioning market for secondary material as long as the waste segregation at source is not enforced correctly. So this is mentioned in the law on environmental protection, this is mentioned in the decree, and each PPC now really has to start enforcing the waste segregation at source. So I think this is really one of the cornerstones of a functioning market for secondary material in Vietnam. Thank you.
Thank you. I hope this answered your question. I see there is one more hand rising, so please go ahead.
Hi. Good morning. My name is Patricia. And I have a comment for Mr. Vong and Ms. Tu. I guess I agree it's not about financing and disposable finance to make sure that things move. Also education, of course. But it seems to me that there is a lack of enforcement, that we do have legislation and there are policies. There is no enforcement. Sorry, I cannot read your name. Rachel? Sorry? Margaret. Yes?
Morgan. Not Rachel.
Sorry, you just mentioned, right? Enforcing segregation of garbage. So legislation is out there. There is no enforcement. I guess that's what we're missing. And I have a question for Ms. Mi. You just mentioned about how the amount of work you guys are doing and how you don't deal with plastic. It just calls my attention. How many employees do you have in your plant? How many people?
For direct one, we have. Sorry, I like to mention the first question about the employee. We have more than 3,500 employees. I talk about we don't have to do plastic for the EPR packaging. I mean for the resin, because we don't have any packaging in plastic. Yeah. So it's very different for the one that the plastic issues that we have all human beings we have to deal with this one. So I like to separate this one. Thank you.
I just would be interested in hearing how is Heineken dealing, for example, with food waste, considering you have 3,500 employees that go to work every day in and out. What do you do with the food waste? Thank you.
For the food,
Let's get one more, and then we need to give also a chance to our panelists to answer, because there are multiple questions coming towards them.
I do not want to interfere with the answer, but I want to ask something related to it. So my name is Bruno. I've been kind. It was very kind that I was mentioned, because I am in charge of deep sea industrial zones. But we do also, or we attempt to make circular economy happen in our zones. And we actually try to recycle food. And in my humble opinion, the real big problem that is not really that clearly discussed, give me the law that enables you to do it. So we set up a composting scheme for biodegradable waste, which is similar to what Starbucks is referring to. That's only possible because we do it inside our industrial zone, and it's my head on it, and I stand my ground, and I say, we will do it. Because if we say it's waste, it's virtually impossible. It's only because I made a report this big, not me, my team actually, and we see it as a ground, a base material for compost. And I think that is what should be discussed. How can you convert the imagination or the view on waste? It's not waste. I happily would take all the ground coffee of Starbucks and put it in my composting installation.
Yeah, thank you for your answer. Yeah, actually, yeah, I'd like to share this one. In Heineken Vietnam, in own canteen, we call the green office. Yeah, for the green office, number one, we have to separate waste as source. The one that Morgan mentioned. Yeah, I think even though for the one you have to deal with the EPR in plastic packaging, because we are lucky that aluminum and also paper carton is somehow they have the value. So somehow the collection is very high because that value to sales to recycling. But for other things with lower value, so something like waste classification as source is very important. And the first one to apply circularity is about classification and separation the waste as source. And our green office rule is about, even for the food, for the composting, we have to separate it from other things, even for paper or for other things. So in the canteen, we have that one for people to do the things. The second one, for the office, green office, we also apply for reduced. I like to say the reduced. The single-use plastic, like the single-use plastic bag, the single-use plastic cup, the single-use plastic box for the container for food, something like that. We even though have the diet day, the plastic diet day. Encourage people, bring your cup, bring your container into when to buy the coffee, when to buy bubble tea, when to buy food. And that's way we remind people to create another habit. I shared before, the young people, the young consumer, they very much like to have the green life. But the habit and the convenience still there. How many people bring your own shopping bag into the supermarket? Yeah, thank you. And even how many people like to bring your own cup to the coffee? Yeah. I love the hand raised, that's one. So that's one we have to raise the awareness and continue that habit so we can how to apply the circularity for every person, every individual. For I very much passionate for circularity, and I think that the way the way of working of the nature to ensure that the healthy and the safe place in the earth for all people. Yeah, but we have to practice, we have awareness, but we have to practice, we have to action as well, and starting from very, very small things like that. Yeah.
Thank you. I will now move to Mr. Wong and Professor Tu. There was the first part of the question. I would like to ask him to address that. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you for your comments. I think that's so because we, as I said at first, that we can approach the somehow that comprehensive approach from the micro level to the meso level and macro level. And I do agree with you that besides the education for the consumer, encouragement the producer, but we should apply the enforcement. Especially from my experience in developing country like Vietnam, we should enforce. We make in law, and besides the policy to encourage the enterprise for the green production, green investment, we should apply the enforcement. Yes, from our research regarding to the green banking in Vietnam, you know that in Vietnam it is the bank-based economy. That means that more than 70% of the capital to the investment, to the real production come from the bank system. So if the bank is the orientation of the moving from the greener economy structure. So State Bank of Vietnam also apply the green project to encourage the commercial bank in Vietnam to apply the green banking. However, up to now, since 5 years ago, up to now, under international standard, no Vietnamese commercial bank can apply the green banking because it's only the encouragement, not the enforcement. So I may share with you that we should apply the enforcement to apply the CBM in Vietnam. Thank you.
Dạ, xin cảm ơn câu hỏi của bạn. Thật ra thì cái tác động của về giáo dục phát triển bền vững và cái ý thức của người tiêu dùng là nó rất là quan trọng. Ở đây tôi muốn nói thêm, cả thế giới đã dùng một nguồn lực khổng lồ để sản xuất và tiêu dùng. Và mỗi cá nhân thì đều có hai hành vi. Hành vi thứ nhất là hành vi tiêu dùng. Hành vi thứ hai là hành vi xả thải. Tiêu dùng và xả thải nó gần như là tương đương nhau. Nhưng chúng ta dùng một nguồn lực khổng lồ cho sản xuất tiêu dùng, nhưng mà chúng ta dùng một nguồn lực rất nhỏ bé cho việc xử lý các sản phẩm thải bỏ sau tiêu dùng. Ở đây trách nhiệm trước hết thuộc về mỗi người tiêu dùng. Chúng ta chưa nói đến các việc trách nhiệm của chính phủ và các cơ quan khác, mà trước hết là mỗi người tiêu dùng phải trách nhiệm được cái ý thức này của mình. Sau khi xả thải là gì? Sau khi xả thải ai là người xử lý, và tại sao ô nhiễm môi trường ở Việt Nam đến mức độ này thì cũng là trách nhiệm của cả mỗi cá nhân chúng ta. Và tôi muốn nói rằng chính người tiêu dùng mới là người dẫn dắt sản xuất, chứ không phải sản xuất dẫn dắt tiêu dùng. Bởi vì nếu người tiêu dùng họ có ý thức cao và họ muốn tiêu dùng bền vững, họ sẵn sàng sử dụng những sản phẩm tái chế, thì đương nhiên là các nhà sản xuất sẽ đi theo hướng đó. Và nếu người tiêu dùng phản đối những cái sản phẩm không phải là tái chế, hoặc là phản đối những cái sản phẩm không bền vững, thì chắc chắn sản xuất cũng đi theo hướng đó. Cho nên việc giáo dục tiêu dùng bền vững là hết sức quan trọng, đặc biệt là lớp trẻ, khi mà các cháu còn nhỏ đã được giáo dục rồi. Và hiện nay chúng tôi đang thấy rằng những lớp như Gen Z, Gen Y là họ đã được giáo dục tiêu dùng bền vững. Và cái lượng thông tin khổng lồ trên toàn cầu với trend của thế giới đang tràn đến, và họ bắt đầu nghĩ đến việc tiêu dùng bền vững rồi. Cho nên chính những người trẻ sẽ là người dẫn dắt tiêu dùng, những người sẽ bảo chúng ta phải làm gì. Cho nên tôi nghĩ đây là một xu hướng rất tốt cho môi trường cũng như là phát triển bền vững, và là một xu hướng rất là mãnh liệt cho cái việc là phát triển kinh tế tuần hoàn trong những năm tới. Cảm ơn các quý vị ạ.
Thank you both for the answers. I see another question there, so please go ahead. Yep.
Hello, hi. I'm Huyên from Eco Vietnam. Actually, I'm curious when listening to Ms. Mi and also from Azidat about food waste, and Bruno from Deep Sea. Actually, about food waste. Actually, I'm the one who bring the solution to convert the food waste at Suoc to Vietnam, and we have the booth out there, the station, have with the machine that convert all the food waste to become fertilizer right at Suoc. And that is also that I'm curious how the companies define that zero waste to landfill when the facility they have, like Heineken, they have 3,500 workers working every day. And I think that Azidat also like have numbers of workers working in the facility every day. How you claim zero waste to landfill when you still have a lot of waste inside, like produced by your own employees every day? How you define that zero waste to landfill?
Thank you.
I like to say that number one, zero waste to landfill in our, firstly, we achieve that in our production. It means that all the byproduct and all the waste in our production can be recycled, reused, and to become another one. That's the number one. Yes, we also have the ambition to expand the circularity through the value change. And we try to do this one because we know that if we do only in our operation, it's not still enough. Yeah. Like I shared before, for Heineken Vietnam, for the employee, we raise awareness about this one. We have the capability building, we have the awareness, and also we have the campaigns to change the habit of our employee as well. I shared already about the Green Office. And in Green Office, we have a very nice tagline that I like to share with you. Be a hero. Go plastic zero. So it's my, yeah, if you like to be a hero, please go plastic zero. And like me, everywhere I go, I bring this one. So never use the single-use plastics. Everywhere I go, I use the bottle, the things that I can have, my water and my things here. And that will be one, we call the Green Office, that apply for all employees to do the things. And we also contract with the supplier to, for example, the food provided by our third party, by the canteen, yeah? And they also ensure that that one to go to the farm animal for the animal feeding. Yeah, that's the way we are doing. So we go further to our supply chain. We go work further with our supplier. Even though for the things that we talk about, the packaging, the plastic cake, great, and even though for the paper carton, we also in cooperation with our supplier, the one who produced the crate, the one who produced the glass bottle, and the one who produced the paper carton. We have the system to ensure, to raise awareness, and also I think that is the same things for renewable energy, yeah, for the supply chain, for our third party. To do the things. And still, I think the action still need to do because we try to do step by step, firstly at our production first, and then to the value change, and we have the ambition to 2030 or even 2040. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And I also see that Mr. Vung.
Yes, I
would
like to reply to this question. Tôi thấy các cái vừa rồi rất nhiều quý vị nói về cái việc rác thải thực phẩm. Đây là vấn đề rất là lớn. Đây là vấn đề rất là lớn của Việt Nam. Và báo cáo với các quý vị là không cá nhân nào tự làm được và không có bất cứ nhãn hàng doanh nghiệp nào tự làm được việc này cả, mà nó phải có chính sách. Nếu chúng ta và chính sách thì hiện nay chúng ta đã có chính sách. Chính sách đó là phân loại rác tại nguồn từ mùng 1 tháng 1 năm 2025 và các tỉnh thành sẽ phải thực hiện cái việc phân loại rác tại nguồn thành 3 thùng, đó chính là thùng rác hữu cơ, chính là thùng rác thực phẩm. Và nếu chúng ta phân loại được thùng rác thực phẩm này, Việt Nam sẽ tiết kiệm được hàng chục tỷ đô la mỗi năm. Và nếu có thùng rác thực phẩm này, chúng tôi có thể chế biến nó thành ga, thành khí để có thể sử dụng phát điện hoặc sử dụng làm chất đốt ở ngay trong các hộ gia đình. Thì ở đây chúng tôi muốn nói rằng chính sách là hết sức quan trọng và chúng ta đang chờ các tỉnh thành sẽ thực thi cái việc phân loại 3 thùng rác tại nguồn, trong đó có thùng rác hữu cơ như thế nào trong thời gian tới. Và chúng tôi được biết là thành phố Hà Nội sẽ bắt đầu làm thí điểm phân loại rác tại nguồn vào cuối năm nay, bắt đầu làm thí điểm tại 5 quận tại Hà Nội. Thì chúng tôi rất hy vọng là cái việc mà phân loại rác tại nguồn và phân loại được cái rác hữu cơ này sẽ thành công ở Việt Nam và sẽ tiết kiệm được rất nhiều tài nguyên cho đất nước. Xin cảm ơn bạn.
Thank you so much. And before we move to the next question, very short remark also from Ms. Morgan.
Yes.
Please,
yeah,
short,
thank you very much for all the questions and the very interesting discussion. Just want maybe to add a few things. So fully agree with the comment from Bruno. Currently, the problem is that there is this distinction between what is considered as waste versus what is considered as scrap. And for that reason, there is a lot of waste, if we can call it like this generally, that cannot be traded. So this is something that we're working on as part of the National Action Plan on Circular Economy. And we're trying to change this definition, this categorization, to make sure that more waste can effectively be traded. So that's one. Then second, this idea of innovation, and I would love to hear more about your company transforming food waste. So I think this is critical in the transition towards circular economy. And for that, I was in another attending a panel earlier on, taxonomy. And for that, we really need the financial sector to jump in. So we need the bank, but also the impact investors, the incubators, to really jump in and help us to scale up these kind of solutions. Because at a local scale, at a small scale, it's nice, but we really need like large-scale solutions that help to reduce the GHG emission. Food waste is more than 60% of the current household waste in Vietnam. It's critical. It is already being transformed at the local level. If we look at the province of Hue, for example, which is a huge hub for agriculture, they use waste as a traditional method for hundreds of years in Vietnam to feed for the agriculture. However, it's often not maximized, so this is really important to work on as well to reduce GHG emission. And the third point, very quickly, is the question of data, because we often come back to that. The data is not properly collected, it's not shared, it's not transparent, and as long as we are not helping businesses to effectively collect data related to, of course, Heineken and Adidas are excellent examples, but as mentioned, 95% of the businesses in Vietnam are SMEs, so we're really working with SME to help them to collect and analyze the data that will help them to make the next step and transforming their production and consumption.
Thank you also for elaborating, and I see there's one more question. I would like to give a chance there too.
Thank you. This is panel number 9, talking about the role of EPR. I'm talking about the specific waste management is a tire, end of tire for the car. So I need to know, as anybody from panelists say with me, what is the role of the EPR in the tire makers or car makers, and what is waste management in place in Vietnam, and any recommendation from European to to have Vietnam in tire and the use tire car or management, so that we can put it in the circular economy in Vietnam. Thank you.
So I would like to see whether anyone would like to address. Eric would like to ask. I could also share something, but please feel free to.
Yeah, please.
Yeah.
No, I'm Eric Contreras. Apart from Eurocham, I'm also the managing director of BASF. Yeah. So in Europe, we already collect the tires and separate and then depolymerize. Yeah. So without chemical recycling, just depolymerization, and then you can make them into outdoor pants and other textile apparel. So there's an article. Just look at BASF website. It's being done already by a company called VAUDE. Baude. They already produce outdoor, outdoor apparel from tires, yeah? Using depolymerization. So it's possible, and that's one of the things maybe while I'm already talking. I think with UNDP and a lot of the companies, with regards to let's say the recyclable materials, yeah. So you have 3 routes, right? So those that are mechanically recyclable, the easier one. I think that's something that we can already address. I think Unilever, Heineken, Nestle, they're doing that already. There's also the biological route, yeah, which is biodegradation, which I think Bruno is already mentioning earlier. And I think the last part that is still not here is the chemical recycling. Yeah, that part is a solution also for tires, yeah. But these are for the hard to recycle plastics, yeah. So for those plastics that are difficult, for example, multi-layer, those that are very, very low value, very difficult to collect, then it has to go into chemical recycling. Yeah? However, if you want to go to chemical recycling, you have to have the facility. In fact, you have to have a naphtha cracker, yeah? Steam cracking technology. We are just starting up one in Long Son Petrochemical, yeah? Which is owned by CM Cement Group. And that's our hope, that at some point in time, we can do the chemical recycling in Vietnam to be able to address this hard to recycle plastic. But of course, they want to start up first and produce their polyolefins. But they already have the facility there. It's just a matter of convincing them and actually doing a collaboration to get that technology working, because it's already being done in Europe, it's being done already in China, that chemical recycling part. So I think that's a very, very good question and something that we can address, but it needs a bit more time. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, Eric. And if I might just quickly elaborate on this one, because also my company is engaged in Europe in moving the tires. So Eric mentioned you can, depolymerize and then afterwards make another components. But also, if you further push with the chemical recycling, you could actually bring back some of those materials in the roads as part of the asphalt. So we do have actually multiple projects running in Europe of actually using the tires later on for the roads. So that's also possible. But exactly, I fully agree to you. For Vietnam, there is still some road ahead to come, and this also has to do a lot about the whole chemical and petrochemical industry here in the country as well. So I see another question.
Hello. Okay, I'm Doug Snyder. I have two hats. One is co-director of Keep Vietnam Clean. So I have two questions. For my first question, I'm American. The only recycling initiative that's worked in the United States is deposit program. So bottle deposits, basically, which Morgaine referenced in incentivizing by applying a monetary value to the recyclable materials. So I'm wondering, like for Adidas, would Adidas consider applying a deposit of some kind to shoes that could then be redeemed when the consumer returns those used products? My second question is I'm also the executive director of the Vietnam Green Building Council, and construction materials is not currently part, I believe, of the EPR regulations, but the construction industry consumes 50% of global resources and produces on average 40% of waste. So it's the largest sector for both of those. And I'm wondering, do you see any movement? We actually have a technical advisory committee internally on circularity, but I'm wondering if Morgaine, if UNDP is looking at that at all. Thank you.
Thank you for your question. For Adidas, that like I mentioned previously, we started from eco innovation, eco design, so that we later on, when dealing with that extended producer responsibility, the lower the rate that we have to pay for that, waste treatment, right? Because when you have that high contents of sustainability in your products, and you're supposed to have that, adjustment rate in terms of how that impact to the environment, in terms of, carbon emission quantity that you have in your products. And then what we are doing now, like in France, that we have to pay that, EPR kind of, money, right, for the very professional organization, producer responsibility organization. They collecting all of that, and they follow, the best way for the waste treatment for those things, right? Either we collect from the consumer, or the consumer just follow the standard process in terms of segregation of the waste, and then we have that so-called that BRO to help in to doing that, and we pay for that responsibility.
Would you consider incentivizing directly with the consumer by applying a deposit?
That's something I don't have the information right now, but from the responsible business perspective, we look into every possible solution that creating that experience to our consumer as well, and be friendly to the environment. That's our purpose. Thank you.
Yes, thank you for your question, Doug. So you're right, currently the construction sector is not covered in the new EPR that is going to enter into force in January 2024, and actually it's not even mentioned as one of the material that is going to be covered. However, there are other policy incentives, maybe not directly related to circular economy, but more related to climate change. I'm thinking about the CBAM, for example, and we have heard one panel in the morning talking about this. The cement is a huge industry in Vietnam, and it's going to be covered under the CBAM, so Vietnam will need to adapt if they want to continue export to Vietnam. Also, when we talk about the construction industry, what we're looking at is in terms of climate change adaptation. How can you start considering the climate risk and the vulnerability of the construction, which is all along the coastline, in the Mekong Delta, and etc. And because of that, we've been working on the National Adaptation Plan, for instance, for Vietnam on climate change, and we're promoting the use of nature-based solution in construction. So, by using like a material that have more longevity, that are less emitter of greenhouse gas emission. So that's something we could consider. Yeah, I think for now. Thank you.
Thank you. Just to very quickly elaborate, actually within the Green Growth Sector Committee of Eurochem, we do group working on the construction. So we are very happy to actually connect you after that. Okay, yeah, so perfect.
We have an MOU with the Green Growth Sector Committee.
Okay, great. So looking into the time, I think we do have time for one more question. So, or if we have time, perhaps two. But let's have a look.
Dạ, tôi đến từ Hiệp hội Nhựa Việt Nam. Tôi là Mỹ đến từ Hiệp hội Nhựa Việt Nam. Tôi rất là thích cái câu hỏi lúc nãy của một cái cô hỏi rằng là hiện nay chúng ta đã có chính sách EPR, nhưng vấn đề là thực thi như thế nào. Tôi nghĩ cái việc thực thi nó rất là quan trọng, bởi vì là chính sách đã có nhưng mà chúng ta không biết sẽ phải thực thi như thế nào. Hiện tại bây giờ cái ngành tái chế nhựa là một cái ngành phải nói như là chị Mỹ lúc nãy chị nói là như là một cái đứa bé 40 năm rồi mà nó vẫn chưa lớn được. Ngành tái chế nhựa hiện nay ở Việt Nam rất là manh mún, gần như là các cơ sở nhỏ lẻ họ không có một cái cơ sở gọi là hiện đại cũng như các cái công nghệ hiện đại để mà có thể đáp ứng được cái thị trường cũng như cái mong muốn hiện nay của Việt Nam cũng như là của thế giới. Và ngành nhựa chúng tôi đang gặp rất là khó khăn để có được những cái hạt nhựa tái sinh đạt cái tiêu chuẩn để có thể cung cấp được cho các cái công ty lớn ở Việt Nam để làm các cái đơn hàng xuất khẩu và cho ngành thực phẩm. Chúng tôi muốn nói ở đây rằng là nhà nước cần có những cái chính sách cụ thể về quy hoạch vùng cho ngành tái chế. Hiện tại có những doanh nghiệp lớn người ta có khả năng về tài chính để đầu tư xây dựng một cái nhà máy tái chế hiện đại để phục vụ cho ngành. Tuy nhiên là chúng tôi để đi xin một cái địa điểm để mà xây dựng cái nhà máy hiện nay rất là khó các anh chị. Chúng tôi không biết rằng là mình sẽ phải xin cái nhà máy ở địa điểm nào. Ví dụ hiện nay ở thành phố Hồ Chí Minh chúng tôi không xin được giấy phép. Ở Long An chúng tôi không xin được. Thì bây giờ chúng tôi xin ở đâu? Và hiện tại ngành nhựa Việt Nam 70% đến 80% là tập trung ở thành phố Hồ Chí Minh và các tỉnh phía Nam. Và nếu như chúng ta xây dựng một cái nhà máy tái chế mà nó ở xa quá một cái vùng trọng điểm như vậy thì cái chi phí vận chuyển nó sẽ rất là lớn. Thì tôi nghĩ cái đó nó rất là quan trọng mà chúng ta phải nghĩ đến. Và kể cả các doanh nghiệp nhựa của chúng tôi là những cái doanh nghiệp mà sản xuất các cái thành phẩm để cung cấp cho tất cả các ngành hàng ở thị trường Việt Nam. Họ rất mong muốn để cùng đất nước xây dựng những cái nhà máy tái chế và họ muốn thể hiện cái trách nhiệm của họ đối với môi trường, là những cái người làm trong ngành nhựa, họ có kinh nghiệm về công nghệ, họ sẵn sàng làm cái điều đấy. Thì tôi lại rất thích cái ý của anh lúc nãy anh nói nên chăng chúng ta có thể cho phép xây dựng những cái nhà máy tái chế ngay cạnh những cái nhà máy thành phẩm hiện nay người ta đã có cái gọi là có cái mặt bằng. Ví dụ như bây giờ một cái nhà xưởng người ta có vài chục ngàn mét vuông chẳng hạn, thì bây giờ người ta dư cái không gian và người ta có thể xây dựng một cái nhà máy tái chế bên cạnh ở trong khu công nghiệp và họ có thể xử lý tất cả các cái hạ tầng về gọi là tiêu chuẩn môi trường. Thì chúng ta có cho phép họ hay không? Và tôi nghĩ cái điều đấy nó rất là quan trọng. Bản thân tôi ở Hiệp hội Nhựa Việt Nam hơn 20 năm và tôi thấy rằng là nếu như chúng ta giải quyết được cái bài toán này thì tôi nghĩ cái EPR nó không phải là một cái việc lớn nữa. Và trong 5 năm gần đây tôi thấy tất cả các cái cơ quan từ bộ ngành đến các cái tổ chức phi chính phủ cũng như doanh nghiệp và người tiêu dùng, người ta đã dần nhận thức được cái việc là mình phải có trách nhiệm như thế nào với môi trường và những cái gì mình sử dụng mình phải có trách nhiệm thu hồi tái chế đó. Và ở đây khi mà tất cả mọi người đang nói về ngành nhựa như thể rằng là nhựa là một cái tội đồ, đúng không ạ? Nhưng chúng ta hiểu rằng nhựa nó có giá trị như thế nào và nó góp phần và giúp cho đời sống của mình, kinh tế của mình nó phát triển như thế nào. Và cái nhựa sử dụng một lần chúng ta nên hạn chế sử dụng trong những cái dịp mà không cần thiết thì chúng ta nên sử dụng. Nhưng các anh chị phải thấy rằng là nhựa sử dụng một lần nó hiện nay nó cũng đang đóng một cái vai trò rất quan trọng để thúc đẩy kinh tế phát triển. Và chúng ta thấy rằng tất cả các nước hiện nay tập trung để mà gọi là thức ăn nhanh, take away, đúng không ạ? Thì tất cả chúng ta sử dụng sản phẩm một lần. Và quay lại cái câu chuyện này thì chúng tôi thấy rằng là cái việc phân loại rác thải tại nguồn mới là cái vấn đề quan trọng. Và Việt Nam chúng ta đã có chính sách và tôi hy vọng rằng là khi mà chúng ta có chính sách này rồi thì chúng ta sẽ làm một cách nó bài bản và nó chuẩn chỉnh thì chúng ta sẽ có được một cái lượng gọi là nhựa sau sử dụng thu hồi và có thể tái sử dụng và phục vụ lại để cho ngành nhựa. Và theo một cái Việt Nam hiện nay chúng ta đã cam kết vào cái hiệp ước toàn cầu rằng là phải giảm cái sử dụng nhựa nguyên sinh. Nên là chúng tôi đang muốn tập trung để mà thu gom tái chế nhựa để chúng ta làm sao mà sử dụng cái lượng nhựa tái chế càng nhiều càng tốt để hạn chế cái lượng mà chúng ta phải lấy lên từ lòng đất dầu mỏ nữa. Thì chúng ta phải hạn chế cái chuyện đấy. Và để làm được cái việc đấy thì nhà nước cần phải có chính sách phải hỗ trợ cho các doanh nghiệp. Tôi xin hết ạ.
Thank you for the remarks and thank you also so much for elaborating on those topics. Looking into the time, I think perhaps we have time to squeeze was last final concluding question or remark, or tight. Okay, then in this case, no, because we do have the lunch break, and then I think the room is going to be occupied. First of all, I would like to thank our panelists for your contribution, also for taking up the questions, and also thank you to the audience for so active participation. And I do hope that with this session we managed to shed some light on the topic of EPR and circularity. Thank you.